This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine.
Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
I'm Bishop William Byrne, inviting you to radiate the light of Christ by making a gift to the annual Catholic Appeal. The ministries and agencies supported with your generosity help thousands of our neighbors throughout Western Massachusetts. The annual Catholic Appeal unites us in the mission to help meet the physical, spiritual, and sacramental needs of our brothers and sisters and to grow our church. Please donate to the annual Catholic Appeal. Join me in radiating the light of Christ and be a force for hope and love in the world. On behalf of the people we serve, thank you.
Let it
shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Coming up on this edition of Reel to Reel.
An incredible turnout at the Eucharistic Congress in Springfield. I'm Carolee McGrath. I'll have the story coming up.
I'm Steve Kiltonick in Westfield, where the inaugural Green and Gold Gala for St. Mary's High School was held. I'll tell you who was awarded the first SSJ Medal of Honor.
And a new Catholic radio station hits the airwaves in the Diocese of Springfield. These stories are coming your way next on Reel to Reel. Hello and welcome to Reel to Reel. Well, despite some winter weather, it was a sold-out event last weekend for the Eucharistic Congress at the Mass Mutual Center in Springfield, with national Catholic speakers, Eucharistic adoration, the Rosary, reconciliation, and a Mass celebrated by Bishop Byrne. Those attending were inspired and enriched by the real presence of Jesus Christ. Carolee McGrath was there and has our report.
And that was the sentiment of the day, just how awesome our God is. Oscar Rivera, a nationally known Catholic speaker, a graduate of Franciscan University in Steubenville, Ohio, and director of youth ministry for the Diocese of Fall River, served as the MC for the Eucharistic Congress held at the Mass Mutual Center last weekend. And despite the snow, it was a full house, according to organizers, totaling more than 1,500 people. April and Jay Helenek, who just had their 7th baby, are the directors of the Catholic Life Conference and led the efforts to put on the Eucharistic Congress, an event deeply personal to them.
God showed us that people want more, and they want to be here, and they want these things, and church is free, and 1,500 people paid to be here, and I'm just so proud of our diocese right now. I'm so proud of our priests for promoting needing more. It's just so exciting.
The all-day conference included internationally renowned speakers who presented in English and Spanish, a children's program, confession, and Eucharistic adoration. There were several vendors giving attendees the opportunity to learn more about their faith and ministries. The event's theme was He is Present, with a goal of helping Catholics better understand the teachings of the true presence of Christ in the Eucharist. The speakers included Edward Sri, a Catholic author who often appears on EWTN. He has written several books and is the founding leader of Fellowship of Catholic University Students, or FOCUS. Is it possible that our young adult children are going to stay close to Christ in college?
Not only is it possible, I'm seeing it all over the country. We just had a gathering in St. Louis of 17,000 young people gathered together, excited for their faith, falling on their knees in Eucharistic adoration, going to confession. It's incredible. If we present the joy of the gospel in its fullness to the youth, they respond because they look out at the secular world and they see what's out there isn't working. For dating, for love, for marriage, for friendship. They're longing for something more. We as Catholics just need to do a better job of joyfully presenting the fullness of our Catholic faith.
Patricia Sandoval presented in English and Spanish. She's an international pro-life and chastity speaker who shared her story of past abortions, her work at Planned Parenthood, and her conversion. She's currently the host of the Pro-Life Report on EWTN.
Unfortunately, I had 3 abortions, and I was lied to by society. I was lied to by my educators when, the sexual educators that came to my school when I was 12 years old. I was lied to by the nurses and abortionists at these abortion clinics. But ultimately, there's effects after having an abortion, And, when you look at science and you look at biology, it is life. It is a different life than your own body.
Ray Grijalba is the creator of the Joy of Faith YouTube channel and producer of a new movie on the Eucharist, The New Manna.
One of the scenes I'm so excited we filmed is the Bread of Life discourse. And it was amazing to see hundreds of people walk away from Jesus. Never before been filmed, and I'm so excited for that live action portion to fill in with all the great people we've interviewed, like Scott Hahn, Father Calloway, Father Ripperger, Carlo Acutis' mother, and to show the glory of the Eucharist through Eucharistic miracles.
Many youth were in attendance with their parishes or families.
I'm here with my whole family, and I know we can all gain some sort of experience from this because there's different booths, there's a lot of diversity in here. We just learned so many different things.
I'm here with Sarah because I really want to build a better connection with God, and if I have no one in life, I can just go to church and pray.
When you consider how many people turned out today, even in the midst of a snowstorm, it really shows that God is still very much at work in the Diocese of Springfield.
I think, first of all, it shows how hungry people are for the Lord. And it also shows how generous God is and never ceasing to feed his people, to invite them, to call them, and empower them to go and bring Jesus out to the world.
The day concluded with a Eucharistic procession inside the main hall, which was standing room only.
I am the way, the truth, the life.
Then Bishop Burns celebrated Mass, the culmination of a day in which more than 1,000 people grew closer to Christ. Reporting for Reel to Reel, I'm Carolee McGrath.
When you turn on your radio, you can listen to Christian music at K-Love 106.9, and there's the Q 99.7 FM. There's also programming for the Latino community on Catholica Springfield at 102.5. Now there's another station to add to your presets, the newest Catholic programming through Station of the Cross. Nick Morganelli caught up with them at their booth at the Eucharistic Congress and tells us more.
Welcome to Mother Miriam Live on the Station of the Cross Catholic Radio Network.
At the recent Eucharistic Congress, you may have seen the booth for Catholic Talk Radio. It's now broadcasting over the Springfield-Hartford airwaves.
It is called 7:30 a.m., and we're so honored and privileged to have it in our area.
And it has the potential to reach over 2 million souls. The physical station is located in Buffalo, New York. They expanded east to Boston first, but recently purchased WACE in Chicopee, both along the I-90 Turnpike, in part due to the influence of EWTN founder Mother Angelica.
When Jim and Joanne Wright, the founders, started the Station of the Cross in Buffalo, she expressed to them her wish that they continue to expand down the 90. We're really excited about the number of people that we can reach, and we really have high expectations here in Springfield and Hartford.
So how can this new Catholic radio station help one's spiritual journey this Lent and throughout the year? Zach Krajacek explains.
We are an EWTN affiliate. We have been producing a lot of our own shows as well. We have 6 shows, I believe, right now that we produce on our own that are becoming increasingly popular. And we have catechesis and apologetics to help people understand the faith and to explain it to others. We also touch on current events and news and issues, things like that. And we try to show how the Catholic faith relates to all the things that are going on in the world.
Keeping you up to date on the news and issues from a courageous Catholic perspective.
A Catholic Take with Joe McLean starts now.
Praise be to Jesus Christ. Welcome back to A Catholic Take.
We have the Sermons for Everyday Living show that provides truthful and entertaining sermons. The Mother Miriam Live show is it's a Catholic nun on a mission to bring hope. We also have The Simple Truth. It's host Jim Havens proclaiming all that is good, true, and beautiful. And finally, The Spirit World. That's a pretty new show that we brought on. And it answers all of your questions about angels, demons, and how the spiritual and physical worlds interact. We get testimonials from people about how our station has changed their lives. One person told us about how she went to confession after listening to our station after 40 years. That's the type of impact that we're having on people's lives. That's why we're so grateful to everybody who does support our apostolate.
Linda Gerlip of Westfield has already begun listening in.
It's the inspirational programs that brings us closer to Christ. No matter how far we sway away from Him and Our Lady, listening to the radio station brings us right back to where our foundation is, where we should be.
Station of the Cross can be found at 7:30 a.m. on your radio dial, but with technology these days, there's so many other ways that you can listen in.
They can also listen at thestationofthecross.com, both live and on podcast. And also you can download the iCatholic Radio mobile app. Again, you can listen live and on podcast to that. You can hear all of our programs anywhere in the world. We want to inspire them and give them the knowledge to light that spark inside of them so that they go to their local parish and receive the sacraments. That's ultimately what it's all about, and that is what our mission is.
And continuing the mission takes funding.
We are a 100% listener-supported station. We're a nonprofit 501c3.
Your needs are being prayed for as well.
We've gotten so many people putting their prayer intentions on our prayer wall. You just go to our website, thestationofthecross.com.
Now, here's Mother Miriam.
Good morning, beloved family. How are you doing? I pray that you're well. I'm happy this morning because our video's back, and it's good to be with you live.
Being inspired by talk radio, online, on the radio, and on the cell phone, for Real, I'm Nick Morganelli.
We consecrate everything to the Sacred Heart of Jesus through the Immaculate Heart of Mary.
Thanks so much, Nick. We'll be sure to tune in. And still to come on Real to Real, recognizing racial obstacles and enduring faith was the focus of a day-long Black Experience Summit at Elms College. And St. Mary's School in Westfield holds a gala. Steve Kiltonick will have that story. It's all still ahead on Real to Real.
Like Catholic TV on Facebook. Once you're there, you can join in on discussions, make friends with other Catholic TV fans, watch behind-the-scenes videos from the studio,
Just finished this today.
and stay up to date with the Catholic world. All this at facebook.com/CatholicTV.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
I'm Bishop William Byrne, inviting you to radiate the light of Christ by making a gift to the annual Catholic Appeal. The ministries and agencies supported with your generosity help thousands of our neighbors throughout Western Massachusetts. The annual Catholic Appeal unites us in the mission to help meet the physical, spiritual, and sacramental needs of our brothers and sisters and to grow our church. Please donate to the annual Catholic Appeal. Join me in radiating the light of Christ and be a force for hope and love in the world. On behalf of the people we serve, thank you.
Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Our family is made up of every race. We are young and old, rich and poor, men and women, sinners and saints. Our family has spanned the centuries and the globe. With God's grace, we started hospitals to care for the sick. We establish orphanages and help the poor. We are the largest charitable organization on the planet, bringing relief and comfort to those in need. We educate more children than any other scholarly or religious institution. We developed the scientific method and laws of evidence. We founded the college system. We defend the dignity of all human life and uphold marriage and family. Cities were named after our revered saints who navigated a sacred path before us. Guided by the Holy Spirit, we compiled the Bible. We are transformed by sacred scripture and sacred tradition, which have consistently guided us for 2,000 years. We are the Catholic Church. With over 1 billion in our family, sharing in the sacraments and fullness of the Christian faith. For centuries, we have prayed for you and our world, every hour of every day, whenever we celebrate the Mass. Jesus himself laid the foundation for our faith when he said to Peter, the first pope, "You are rock, and upon this rock I will build my church." For over 2,000 years, we've had an unbroken line of shepherds, guiding the Catholic Church with love and truth in a confused and hurting world. And in this world filled with chaos, hardship, and pain, it's comforting to know that some things remain consistent, true, and strong: our Catholic faith and the eternal love that God has for all creation. If you've been away from the Catholic Church, we invite you to take another look. Visit CatholicsComeHome.org today. Ours is one family, united in Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. We are Catholic. Welcome home.
You are watching Reel to Reel, your window on the world around you. Here again is your Reel to Reel host, Sharon Roulier.
Late last month, Elms College in Chicopee held its 6th annual Black Experience Summit. A day to celebrate Black Catholic voices, the event inspired many with talks by 2 renowned authors, while also recognizing racial obstacles and enduring faith. Rebecca Drake joins us now with the story.
While the most familiar image of an American Black Catholic sister may be Whoopi Goldberg's fictional movie character, the experiences of real-life Black Catholic nuns, such as Mother Mary Lang, whose sainthood cause advanced this week, is a story that is hard for Catholics to hear.
The story of America's Real Sister Act is the story of how generations of African American women and girls called to the sacred vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience, fought against racism, sexism, and discrimination to answer God's call on their lives and minister as consecrated women in the Roman Catholic Church.
Shannon D. Williams, Associate Professor of History at the University of Dayton, was the opening keynote speaker at the 6th Annual Black Experience Summit held recently at Our Lady of the Elms College in Chicopee. Williams is the author of Subversive Habits: Black Catholic Nuns in the Long African American Freedom Struggle.
These were women who desegregated secular and Catholic institutions, schools, hospitals, convents, also neighborhoods. And this is a story that reminds us that there has always been an articulation of U.S. Catholicism that understood that the lives and souls and futures of Black people mattered.
This year's summit was co-sponsored by the Sisters of St. Joseph of Springfield, the founders of Elms College.
It supports the mission of the Sisters of St. Joseph, that we live and work to unite neighbor with neighbor, neighbor with God, without distinction, in order that all may be one. And we respect the values and the dignity and the human nature of every person, regardless of race or ethnic origin.
Elms College President Harry Dumais, a Catholic and native of Haiti, agrees that the history of racism in the Catholic Church is painful, but must be acknowledged in order for the Church to move forward.
This is one part of our history that is really important for people to know, so that we can take and celebrate the good that has happened, but make sure that we don't recreate the bad aspects of that history that has taken place. So that's what I'm hoping that people get out of this.
In addition to past experiences, present challenges faced by Black Catholics were highlighted by the summit's closing keynote speaker, Olga Segura, author of Birth of a Movement, Black Lives Matter and the Catholic Church. Segura, a native of Santo Domingo and former Catholic media journalist, shared her seminal experience of Catholicism.
Catholicism for me has never been white. Catholicism for me has never even existed in English until I attended Catholic schools. And so I wanted to stay in this media space, but I really needed to see stories of focus on people who look like me.
Segura believes that the Black Lives Matter movement offers inspiration for Catholics working toward racial justice.
This movement was already one that wanted us to support and love one another. It was more about trying to bridge that gap between a white supremacist, a church that has deeply internalized white supremacy, and a movement that was deeply centering Black people.
To promote racial justice, summit speakers encouraged Catholics to first apologize for past injuries and to acknowledge that Black Catholics have always played a vital role in church history.
That there are multiple ways of understanding what Catholicism is, and a reminder that Black Catholics have always been there fighting to make their church truly Catholic, and we can also say fighting to make their nation truly democratic, and that in itself is a wonderful story to know and to share.
A blueprint for moving forward together in faith and solidarity. For Real to Real, I'm Rebecca Drake.
And finally tonight, St. Mary's High School in Westfield held its inaugural Green and Gold Gala last Saturday with the presentation of the first ever Sisters of St. Joseph Medal of Honor. Steve Kiltonic was there and brings us the story.
Once a saint, always a saint was the underlying theme of the inaugural St. Mary's High School Green and Gold Gala held March 4th at Toccoa Country Club. Over 170 guests attended the event, which was held to celebrate alumni and award the first Sisters of St. Joseph Medal of Honor, paying tribute to the school's first educators. The medal recipients were the 7 from 57, a group who have continued their loyalty and support of the high school.
We really wanted to engage our alumni and we wanted to celebrate them, and one of the ways we thought we could do this best was to revive what used to be called the Distinguished Alumni Award, which was a much more low-key event, and we really wanted to honor our Sisters of St. Joseph, who are our founders. And so we kind of combined both of those needs and created the Green and Gold Gala.
Prior to the gala, alumni from the class of 1957 toured the high school and joined the SSJs for Mass at St. Mary's. St. Mary's High School goes back to 1898 when St. Mary's Grammar School was formed, staffed by the Sisters of St. Joseph. 8th grader Nellie Roach wanted to pursue high school. In 1899, 5 SSJs were sent to Westfield to fulfill her dream.
The Sisters of St. Joseph said, well, we'll create one. And they established one. It was up on the 3rd floor of the current elementary school building, and history began, and that was 124 years ago.
In 1903, Roach became the school's first high school graduate, and within 3 years, enrollment grew to 300. Over the past century, over 130 SSJs have taught at the high school.
When students walked the hallways here of St. Mary's High School in 1957, Ike was in the White House, Sputnik orbited the Earth, Leave It to Beaver was on TV, and teens were dancing to Jailhouse Rock. While times have changed, a small group from the class of 57 never forgot about their educational experience or the lessons learned from the Sisters of St. Joseph.
Long after they graduated, 7 alumni from the class of 57 would reunite every 5 years for lunch.
We all were raising families in between, and we lost contact until that reunion where we sat together and said, hey, we're really enjoying each other's company.
The 7 from 57 included Anne Marie Bucas, Jack Daly, Gail Dussault, Mary Lemire, Marion Moreau, James Shea, and Joyce Morrissey Donahue. Donahue and younger sister SSJ Jane Morrissey attended St. Mary's Elementary and High School.
When they threatened to close the school, we thought, what can we do to help? And our perspective was the school can't exist without students to go to it. So if we all pitched in and got a fund started, we could help with tuition.
In 2019, the 7 from 57 Fund was established, enabling 2 students each year to be awarded a $1,000 tuition assistance scholarship. Donahue achieved success as a human health scientist, teaching primarily at her alma mater, Framingham State, and Virginia Tech, then working 25 years for the Environmental Protection Agency's Office of Water.
I had an absolutely excellent education. I learned how to write well and how to communicate what was most important so the people who were being exposed to the chemicals that I was writing about could make their own decisions when it showed up in their drinking water.
As for her favorite teacher,
there's no question. Sister Marita Joseph was the best teacher I had in my entire life.
Gail Dussault was library director for the town of Russell for over 29 years.
One mother wrote a letter saying her husband had died He wasn't that old, and they had a son in college. But the other son was at St. Mary's. They weren't going to be able to keep him there because of the money situation. So we gave money to this student so he could stay at St. Mary's.
She reflected back on the sisters and her years at St. Mary's.
They wore, you know, the habits and everything like that, and they become friends. You know, not only advisors and teachers, but they become friends. And I know it wasn't Joyce's favorite, but mine was Andra Maria, Sister Andra Maria at the time. The boys were really in charge when we were in school. The girls sort of just followed behind. Everything was for the boys. There was no sports for girls or anything. So I was a cheerleader.
Board President Kathleen Engel Vuig and Alumni Director Peter Miller presented the SSJ Medal of Honor to the 7 from 57 who attended. Jim Shea, who passed in 2021, was honored posthumously. Shea was the former superintendent of Westfield Public Schools.
He was our class president and everything. And Jim always said, faith, family, and country. And he lived that. He lived that.
Members of the Shea's family accepted the award in his honor. Receiving the award earlier from Westfield Mayor Mike McCabe and Principal Matt Collins was Jack Daly. Collins served as the MC for the evening, which included a dinner buffet, a silent auction with some great gifts, dancing, a raffle, and a preview of the spring musical Sister Act. Recognized as the honorary chair and gold sponsor of the gala was the Hanush family. Sister Betsy Sullivan spoke of the connection between St. Mary's and the SSJs.
Know that the legacy of St. Mary's School is based on the love of God and the love of neighbor, which surely reflects the mission of the Sisters of St. Joseph.
Her concluding remarks featured a quote by former student of St. Mary's and much beloved priest of the diocese, the late Father Hugh Crean.
It is not the size of the halo or piety that makes a saint. It is quality of life and the goodness that makes a saint. Once a saint, always a saint.
For Real to Real, I'm Steve Kiltonic.
The gala is expected to be an annual event, and next year, a new alumni group or individual will be honored for their loyalty and support of the high school, continuing the legacy of the Sisters of St. Joseph. And for this week, that's Real to Real. To keep up with the latest news on the Catholic Church in the Diocese of Springfield and around the world, head over to iobserve.org, your source for accurate news on events and issues impacting the Catholic faith. That's iobserve.org. And you can also follow us on Facebook at Catholic Communications. I'll see you back here next week for Real to Real, your window on the world around you. Have a great week.
Real to Real is a production of the Catholic Communications Corporation, funded in part by the annual Catholic Appeal, and the support of you, our faithful viewers.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
I'm Bishop William Byrne, inviting you to radiate the light of Christ by making a gift to the annual Catholic Appeal. The ministries and agencies supported with your generosity help thousands of our neighbors throughout Western Massachusetts. The annual Catholic Appeal unites us in the mission to help meet the physical, spiritual, and sacramental needs of our brothers and sisters and to grow our church. Please donate to the annual Catholic Appeal. Join me in radiating the light of Christ and be a force for hope and love in the world. On behalf of the people we serve, thank you.
Shine, let it shine, let it shine.